What's up, guys? This is Rene,
And this is Keaton.
and this is the way to play yada yada yada. Now we're gonna be playing some Rome 2, right? Is that what we're playing?
I believe we're doing a quick tutorial of the units for Rome 2.
Oh, okay, that's what we're doing. Sorry, got mixed up in there. Alright, I've never played this game before. I have no idea what this game is about, so Keaton, explain it to me, go.
No problem. I shall explain for all you beginners out there the different units that you get to
Beginners,
use.
wow, I take offense to that first off.
Why do you take offense to that?
I don't know. Keep going.
Okay. So, when you guys start up the custom battle, there's going to be different types of units you get to pick from. Starting off is the generals. Basically, the generals unit is the most important unit in your army.
Why is that?
Well, there's various reasons. One of them is that if the general's still alive and your opponent has not killed off yours, you get to use different abilities from the different skill types your general gets to have.
What happens if your general dies?
Well, there's multiple effects that happen. One is that your army will suffer a morale blow, like your morale drops, unless your troops have a resistance to that. And you will also lose the abilities that your general had by the unique skill that they had.
And you can use generals with every faction, correct?
Yep, and the unique thing about the generals is that you can pick any kind of unit, or depending on each faction, the different units that you can pick. For example, Rome and Carthage have the general's bodyguard to have as their general unit, but other factions like, let's say, Sparta has their hoplites that you can pick as the general unit, so that you don't have to use the standard bodyguard.
That sounds amazing.
Now, what's more amazing is the melee infantry, which is the next kind of troops that you can pick. Now, melee infantry is very, very good against hoplites. Reason being is because of their high attack and high charge bonus. However, if they were going to be charged in a frontal assault against Pike Infantry, basically the phalanx, they will die very quickly due to the fact that they cannot get within close combat range of the pikes. And also, I'm not sure about all of these swordsmen, but most of them do throw a pila, or javelin per se, right before they charge into melee combat. Some of the best melee infantry comes from the barbarian factions, which include the Gallic tribe, which I'm still working on the pronunciation, the Arverani, which I believe
Sounds good to me.
which the Osorn, which is one of the best melee troops in the game, has a melee attack of 53, weapon damage of 60.
That
and other great
means nothing
statistics.
to me.
It's statistics that you need to learn if you become really good at this game. Basically, this troop is really good, has really high attack compared to other sword infantry.
Got it.
And then on to the next type of infantry, or type of unit you can pick, is the spear infantry. Now, if all you guys have played Shogun 2, basically the spear infantry is great against Cav. And also
Cav. For those of us who have never played the Total War series.
Cav is short term for cavalry.
Okay.
So you say the first three letters CAV for Cav.
Thank you for clarifying that.
So spear infantry, as I was saying, is very good against Cav. They also have the ability, don't remember the exact ability, but it's similar to the ability that the Yari Samurai had in Shogun 2, which allows you to quicken the speed of your infantry. Some of the best spear infantry come from Sparta, as you guys probably all would think. Units include the Heroes of Sparta and the Royal Spartans. Those hoplites can actually stand up to most melee infantry, unlike other hoplites or spear infantry. They don't last as long due to their low melee attack and low attack and charge one, but they do have really high melee defense and armor, which means they're also really good against, or good at resisting arrows or javelins or peltis from the skirmish infantry.
I'd definitely like to be good at that too. If I could just dodge javelins and arrows.
Oh, not dodge. No, they're the arrows and javelins just bounce right off. Or
wow, I'd like that even more.
I bet you would. So finally, speaking of missile infantry, that's the next type of unit that we'll be talking about. So there's 3 different types of missile infantry. The first one is the javelin men. Basically, they just hurl javelins at the enemy at close range.
Okay, self-explanatory.
However, they do have high missile damage. However, they do have short range, so they can easily be picked off by other forms of missile infantry, including archers, which have really good missile damage. Also have decent range, not as long or not as great a range as slingers, but do have high missile damage. However, they are weak in melee, so if they were to get either attacked by some form of infantry or by cav, they will die very, very quickly.
So if you were to set these up in a formation, you'd want your slingers in the back, and the other people, archers, and then your javelin throwers, kind of more in the front of them, correct?
To maximize their range, yes.
Okay.
So speaking of slingers, that's the 3rd type of missile infantry you get to have. They don't have quite as good a missile damage as either the javelin throwers or the archers. However, they do have greater range of 150, and they also have, I believe, a higher rate of fire. Maybe not as good as the Cretan archers, which is one of the best archers in the game, but still have very high shots per minute. And I believe if you were to get the mercenary roding slingers and you were to upgrade them just once, their actually shots per minute actually goes up by 1. So that's actually really good if you were to wanted to upgrade some of your missile infantry. So the next kind of infantry you get to have is the Pike Infantry, which is basically the phalanx. If you were to look at their stats and compare it to other troops, they may not look very good, but once you get them into phalanx mode, these guys are unstoppable from the front.
I got a question. What is phalanx mode?
Phalanx mode basically means the first 3 rows bring down their spears level to the ground, and basically anything that charges in front becomes skewered, like a shish kebab.
Wow. I definitely not want to go against that.
Yeah, most other types of units don't want to, because they will die very quickly. Especially Cav. Cav will get butchered.
Butchered. I get it, because they're horses.
So yeah, as I was saying, phalanx or the Pike Infantry are very good. They are great at resisting most attacks from the front. However, if you're able to outmaneuver them and get in the rear with the other cav, or use some missile infantry to attack on the sides, the phalanx will die just as quickly as the troops in the front. Another good way of defeating Pike Infantry is by using arrows or javelins to weaken them, which then you can then charge in with your infantry, and by then they'll be weak enough to not resist the frontal charge. Now,
this sounds like it's very that even though all these people have these stats, you still got to have a good strategy to go up against them.
Yep. Now, some of the factions that have great Pike Infantry include Macedon, the Egyptians, and I believe the Epirus, if you were able to pre-order the Rome 2 to get the Greek pack.
Ah, I did not pre-order,
Well,
so I do not have that.
Well, you lost out then.
Shoot!
So,
what's next?
We're on to the cavalry section now. So, the first type of cav is the shock cav. Shock cav, for all you guys who played Shogun 2, is basically the Yari cav. They are very good on the charge. They even have a special ability which allows them to increase their charge bonus. So, these guys are great against other forms of cav, including the melee cav or missile cav if you're able to catch up to them. However, if you were to, per se, leave them in the fight, they would not do very well due to the fact they'd have very low melee attack and melee defense. Generally, most shock cav do. However, they are much faster than most other horsemen. So if you're able to outmaneuver other cav or infantry, they can cause quite a bit of damage. So the other type of cav is the shock cav. Shock cav are basically the katana swordmen from Shogun 2. Very high melee attack, however not so much of a charge. Some of the factions that have really, really good melee cav is the barbarian factions, especially the Arvini, and also the Macedonians and Epirus, which have the Aspis, I believe that's how it pronounces, Aspis Companion Cav. Some of the best. And I believe the Aspis Companion Cav also throw a javelin before they charge in.
I just gotta say really quick, I'm glad I'm not saying the names of all these, because I'd be butchering them left and right, because I have no idea how to say any of these names. I could say Rome. That's about all I got.
Mm-hmm. And finally, the third type of cav that you can use is the missile cav. And just like the missile infantry, there's different forms. Some of them include the different kinds are the javelin ones, like the horse skirmishers for Parthia. Basically, they're just javelin throwers who have really good missile damage, very fast, but don't have as long of range. And then you have the horse archers, which have very, very high missile damage, some of the highest missile damage in the game in terms of skirmish. And they are very fast. However, they don't have as long a range as the these slingers or the archers, so you're going to have to use their maneuverability to get good shots off archers. That way they don't shoot back.
Yeah, that would be good. I don't want anybody shooting at me while I'm trying to shoot them.
Of course. So the faction that has the best missile cav would have to be the Parthians, due to the fact that they have the noble horse archers, which have very, very high armor compared to most other horse archers. But they do lack missile damage, but the armor compensates for that. So finally, we have the different kind of special units that you can use for depending on the faction if they have it or not. One of those special units is the elephant, which, as we all know from the original Rome, they were really, really, really hard to kill and really, really good at killing troops. But just like in the original Rome, they're able to run amok. So if you were to have some archers use some flame arrows, you can cause them to run amok and then kill their own troops.
Does every faction have elephants, or is it just certain ones?
Some factions just have it already unlocked, like say the Carthaginians have it because of their African elephants. I know the Egyptians have it, and then the most of the Eastern factions, like the ones in the desert, like Carthage, and then Eastern factions like Pontus and Parthia. The Romans are able to access it through a mercenary, or through using them as mercenaries. And the other type of special units is the war dogs. The war dogs they're not very good, particularly due to their stats, but I believe that they're going to be used for morale purposes by causing troops to be frightened by dogs attacking them. So they'd be good in attacking the flanks, because once you send them off to attack a certain unit, they go AWOL, they don't listen to you anymore. So use them wisely if you were to bring them to a fight. And then finally we have chariots. Chariots are, just like the elephants, are not as good as they once were in the original Rome. For those who have played the original Rome, you probably remember that they caused a lot of damage if they were going to get caught with with the enemy's cav. But in this game, they're more used for breaking up formations in the infantry department. In a prolonged fight, they will be cut down due to their low defense. But on the charge, if you were to run them through, cause some damage, they can be useful there.
So there are a lot of the kind of, what it seems like a lot of these special classes are good for short term, but not for long term.
Generally, elephants, I would say, is probably, if you're going to pick any of these special units, I would definitely go with the elephant over the war dogs and size chariots.
I will definitely be sure to do that, because, who doesn't want to use an elephant in combat?
And finally, we come to the artillery. So artillery, there's two different types. You have field artillery and fixed artillery. Both of them have high damage. They can cause a lot of damage amongst troops. And they do have excellent range. However, if you were to use fixed artillery, I would rather... those are good against, I would say, in siege battles where you have to destroy walls and fortifications. That is where I would recommend using fixed artillery.
Why is that?
Because the term fixed artillery means that they don't move, so if you were to use them in a land battle, you would force the player to play more defensive, almost like turtle-ish and camping, in a way. So,
okay.
So if you were going to use artillery, I would say the best artillery to pick is the field artillery, because that way you can maneuver. If you need to maneuver or move some other location, you can do that with the field artillery. Because if you were to pick the fixed one, you would be stuck in the location that you put it, and you would be forced, or the artillery is only forced to fire in one general direction, so the opposing army could just go around the line of sight of the fixed artillery, and basically your artillery is wasted.
So good against walls, not so good against moving people.
No.
Got it. What else do I need to know about this game?
It is very fun.
Yeah? Well, then I gotta start playing it.
Alrighty. Hop to it then.
Let's get to it. Alright, and we're out.